Greetings, folks. This is Jacob from the Valley Labor Report out of the Tennessee Valley. We are proud to be part of the Labor Radio Podcast Network with over 200 labor-focused shows from all over the country and across the world. The Labor Radio Podcast Network is where working people speak. You can find more information, including daily shows and articles, at laborradionetwork.org.
Hello, working people of Southwest Washington.
You're listening to episode 50. That's right, folks. We hit the 5-0 of Working to Live in Southwest Washington, produced by the Southwest Washington Central Labor Council, and sponsored by Union Plus's Unions Power America sweepstakes. But more on that in a few minutes. Like the bumper you just heard said, we're also a proud member of the Labor Radio Podcast Network with over 200 radio shows and podcasts for working people just like you. Find out more about the network at laborradionetwork.org. I'm Harold Phillips, and before we get started, we want to remind you that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Southwest Washington Central Labor Council, its affiliate unions, our guests' unions or employers, not even all those union members you're gonna see hanging around the Salmon Run Bell Tower over the next week. Nobody's but theirs. Okay, now that we've got that over with, what the heck am I talking about? All the union members hanging around the Salmon Run Bell Tower. I mean, there are lots of union members all throughout Southwest Washington. You can find them pretty much anywhere, right? Well, about 300 additional union members are headed to Vancouver, Washington between July 22nd and 24th for the 2025 Washington State Labor Council Convention being held at the Vancouver Hilton. Sarah Tucker, the Washington State Labor Council's communication director, and the entire staff of The Stand, the WSLC's news service, is here to tell us a little bit about the convention and why you should be excited it's being held in Vancouver this year, whether you're a union member or not. Sarah, I know you are super busy in the days leading up to convention, so I really want to thank you for taking the time to join us.
Of course, I really appreciate you having me on to talk about convention.
So, Sarah, a lot of people have heard about union meetings, but what is a union convention?
Yes. So convention, I think about as equal parts family reunion and business meeting, and a little bit of education thrown in there too. So what we do at convention every year is we bring together hundreds of union members from across Washington state to one area of our state where we can gather together, and we have plenary sessions where we hear from speakers who share their expertise and some of their inspirational stories. And we have panels where experts talk about issues that matter to working folks. We do workshops so our attendees can learn new skills and put them into practice. And then we have great opportunities in the evening for folks to build fellowship with one another, build some relationships, and really dig into what makes labor so powerful as a force in so many workers' lives, which is that it's a family, really. That's why we call each other siblings, right? Because we have this family connection to one another. And then on our final day of convention, we get together and our delegates vote on resolutions which guide the work of the Washington State Labor Council from there on. So there's a lot that happens in those 3 days.
Wow, yeah, to say the least. Now, we're not talking about members of just one union. We're talking about a lot of different members, right? From a lot of different unions, and they're all part of the Washington State Labor Council. Now, what is the Washington State Labor Council?
That is an excellent question. The Washington State Labor Council is the largest labor organization in Washington. Washington is one of the most union-dense states in the entire country. There are over 600,000 union members that are affiliated with the WSLC through their local unions. So we represent, at this point, I think it's over 650 local unions from all across Washington, including some unions that have membership in Idaho or Oregon or Alaska. And all of those unions that are members of the WSLC, they have chosen to affiliate with the council so that we can work together on issues that matter to all workers, certainly union members, but we advocate for every working person in Washington state.
So this is a bunch of unions working together with a common purpose. It's sort of like that word that we keep using on this show, solidarity, right?
Absolutely. I think the WSLC is both an incredible expression of labor solidarity and of labor democracy, which underpins everything we do, right? Because these are representatives of those 650 local unions that come together and we vote on what we're going to do, right? And so our solidarity is underpinned by the importance of working people's voices. And this is one of the most significant opportunities that happens at any point in the year for folks from all these different unions to get together, to talk about what unites us, to talk about where our differences are, and find a place of unity where we can move forward together.
So you mentioned plenaries and workshops and all that sort of stuff. That sounds like a lot of work for the WSLC staff. How many of you are there that are working on the convention?
I think we're at about 15 folks right now. And I would say that we punch well above our weight on that. I think there are, gosh, more than 20 workshops being offered this year, several different panels. And so, you know, all of the folks that work at the WSLC do an incredible amount of work to make convention happen. And it's born out of the passion that all of us have for the work that we do every day. It's really a incredible opportunity to share some of the things that we think about all the time with our fellow union members.
15 people dealing with delegates from 650 unions. That's a tall order. How does an organization like the State Labor Council manage to work with all of these different union members with such a small staff?
I think it really comes down to two things. One, our leadership, April Sims and Shrika Carter, they have done a really good job of finding folks from across the movement who are almost single-mindedly dedicated to the mission of the WSLC. Those 15 staff live and breathe labor all the time. I can't tell you how many of my coworkers, even if we're not on the job, we're at our own union meeting, right? We're all proud members of OPIU Local 8. Folks are there engaged there. We're engaged in community and labor efforts. It's just a group of folks who are dedicating their lives to this work. I think it's also that we pull our staff from those affiliated unions in many ways, right? We've got folks who, were journeyman electricians with IBEW, folks that come out of the Washington Federation of State Employees. Myself, I came out of the legislature where I helped try and organize legislative assistants who are now proud members of the Washington Public Employees Association. So we really pull our staff from groups of people who have direct experience in the movement and who have connections that they can build on as they work at the WSLC.
And not only that, you do have some dedicated volunteers, right?
Absolutely. I mean, something that I have always found beautiful about convention. I started out at the WSLC as a support staff member. I was the executive assistant to then Secretary Treasurer April Sims, and you carry a lot of the logistics work when you're in that position. And no matter what was happening, there would always be one of our attendees, a fellow union member, who would come up to me and say, "What can I do for you?" They're not there to work. They're there to experience convention, but when they see WSLC staff and they see there might be a need, they jump in immediately to help out. I think that that is always beautiful to see. I also think I got to shout out our current executive assistant to the president, Willa Kamakahi. She holds so much information about this convention. She runs all these logistics. She's equal parts event planner and troubleshooter. She figures out so many of the essential things that need to happen for this convention. I think we're going to welcome well over 400 people this year. And so much of that is down to Willa's ability to manage these massive tasks and make sure that folks have a great experience.
Well, Sarah, I do have a couple more questions for you, but I'm going to shift gears just a little bit onto another topic. Have you ever used Union Plus?
Ooh, I don't know if I have.
Well, Lots of people know about the benefits that come from joining a union: better wages, working conditions, someone who has your back in the workplace. But there's another benefit that comes with union membership a lot of people just aren't aware of: discounts on things like insurance, medical services, travel, all provided by Union Plus. I use Union Plus every time I travel for discounts on hotels, rental cars. I even got discounts on new tires that someone who isn't in a union wouldn't get. Now, Union Plus is giving even more to union members with its Unions Power America sweepstakes. If you're a union member, you've got the chance to win $40,000 in cash, a dream trip to New York City, and more. Want better odds at winning the grand prize? Knock out a few fun online activities and you can rack up bonus entries in the sweepstakes. If you're a member of a union, don't miss your chance. Head over to unionpowerusa.com right now and enter the sweepstakes. And when they ask you how you heard about the sweepstakes, be sure to click that box marked podcast. Full disclosure, I've already entered the sweepstakes, and if you're in a union, you should too. There's no purchase necessary, and you can see all the official rules at unionpowerusa.com. So, Sarah, you might want to enter this sweepstakes. You've got a chance to win some money and maybe a trip.
Man, it's incredible all the different benefits you get as a union member, some you don't even know about.
Okay, let's get back to our conversation about the convention here. Now, the convention is taking place in Vancouver next week, but it doesn't always take place in Vancouver, right?
Correct. We do our best to hold convention across the state as much as possible. Our only constraint really is that we're dedicated stewards of our affiliated members' money. And so we make sure that everything we spend on convention is going towards union vendors. So we go to union hotels wherever we have them in Washington state. So last year we were in Wenatchee. This year we'll be in Vancouver. And I believe next year we'll be back in SeaTac at one of these hotels that actually Unite Here members just negotiated an incredible contract at the end of 2024. They went on strike twice. This incredible group of mostly immigrant, mostly POC workers who made the very difficult choice to strike, and they won these incredible contracts. So we're always excited to be at these hotels with our Unite Here siblings and supporting the incredible work that they do every day, making sure so many hotels across Washington are incredibly comfortable and nice places to be.
Well, that's fantastic for the Vancouver Hilton. I mean, I'm glad that the Vancouver Hilton is also a Unite Here hotel. But what does it mean for working people in Vancouver, Washington, and Southwest Washington in general, that the WSLC convention is coming to their backyard?
I think it represents just how strong worker power is everywhere in Washington state. So often, when folks think of Washington, especially if you're not in Washington state, folks think of Seattle and they're like, that's what Washington is. It's just Seattle or the Puget Sound region, right? I love Seattle. I've lived here since I was 18 years old. It's my adopted home. But Washington isn't just Seattle. And while there's certainly a concentration of union members in the Seattle area, union members are everywhere. And there are a ton of union members in Vancouver who are doing incredible organizing. And there are a ton of working folks in Vancouver who I like to think of as not yet union members, who are inspired by organized labor, who share our values, who would love to be union members if they could. And I think bringing the WSLC convention there, bringing this group of hundreds of powerful union members and leaders together in Vancouver demonstrates the strong power of labor across our state and hopefully offers some inspiration to folks in Vancouver who are already in our movement, who are interested in our movement, and who are looking for that energy to buoy them as they continue organizing.
So, with that in mind, do you have to be a union member to attend the convention, or is there a way for people who are not yet union members to participate?
Yeah, definitely. So you have to be a union member if you want to be a voting delegate at our convention, right? But if you just want to attend as a guest, you don't have to be a union member at all. And you can attend these plenary sessions, these workshops as a guest. You can also choose to, for example, attend one of the evening events. So on Tuesday night, we do what we call our Cope Barbecue. It's a name from about 20 years ago. It's not a barbecue anymore. This year we're calling it a Union Family Fun Night. We got food trucks out in the park across from the hotel, nice music, games, an opportunity for some fellowship. And folks are welcome to purchase a ticket to that and come hang out with a bunch of union members, learn more about what being in labor is all about, and just share in the joy of spending time with a bunch of folks who are also as obsessed with the idea of building worker power as you are.
You said it was the Cope barbecue at one point. What is Cope?
That is an excellent question and really gets to the heart of something that I find very funny about labor, which is that we have abbreviations for everything, and rarely do we explain what they are. So thank you for asking me, Harold. So COPE stands for the Committee on Political Education, and it's our fund that we use to support candidates running for office who we believe will champion workers' rights and workers' values. So when it comes to our elections, we all know that powerful businesses, massive corporations, extremely wealthy individuals, they have a lot of money. They got a lot of deep pockets that they can use to influence our elections and have successfully done, right? Labor, our pockets aren't as deep, but our power comes from our people. And so our COPE fund we use to support Labor Neighbor, which is our program where union members talk to other union members across Washington about candidates that the WSLC has endorsed that we think will fight for working people. And something that I think is beautiful about our endorsement process, it's not like a corporation where the CEO decides who they're going to endorse and who they're going to throw their money behind. The WSLC does endorsements through a democratic process. Unions select delegates. Those delegates come together at the WSLC. We vote on who we want to endorse. Endorsements have a 2/3 vote threshold in order to be made. So it's the way we ensure that there's unity in our movement backing up these candidates. And so Cope Barbecue is something we do at convention every year so that both we can engage more folks in that political program and we can raise a bit of funds from union members to make sure that we're able to talk to folks across Washington about about politics, which matters to all of us. Even if you're a worker who thinks, man, I'm not really into politics, I always say you might not be into politics, but your boss is. And if your boss is going to be into politics, you should be too.
You said that this event, which is now Family Fun Night, is an opportunity for union members to contribute to COPE, but it sounds like it's open to everybody. Anybody can contribute to COPE, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also an opportunity, folks who are interested in running for office or who might already have decided they're going to run for office, they can come out and meet union members and get a sense of the things that matter to rank and file folks who they might be looking to represent. The COPE gathering is actually, apart from the fact that it's just fun to hang out and, eat a taco and play some games, drink a beer, that's always a good time. But it also really gets to the core of what I always come back to with unions, which is it's people powered, it's democracy, it's not top down. It's an opportunity for us all to have a voice.
Okay, so let's say we have some people who aren't members of unions yet, and they're interested in what's going on at the convention, but they can't quite get down to the Vancouver Hilton, or they don't feel comfortable in a big, large crowd. Are there other ways they can participate in what's happening at convention?
Absolutely. So we are very lucky to have TVW with us on Tuesday and Wednesday. TVW, public access channel that shares a lot about our policy process and our political process. They come down and they film our convention and they live stream it. So if you are interested in what's happening during these plenary sessions, you want to listen to speakers, you want to hear these panelists, you can check out our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WAAFLCIO. And you can watch it in real time. And then that video will also be archived there because it's very real that we hold our convention, during the work week. And most of us can't take time off to watch something on Facebook Live for 3 hours on a Wednesday morning. And so we make sure that video is available for folks who are interested in looking back at it. I would also say We report out on convention on our social media every day, and I will be writing up a, what happened today story for our news publication, The Stand, every day. So if rather than watching the whole thing, you'd like to read about it a little bit on your lunch break, you can always check out The Stand and see what happened the day before.
And that leads me to my final question, because I know you're so busy and you need to get back to it. If people wanted to read about the convention and the stand, where would they go to find that?
You can go to thestand.org. That's where you'll find our website. We're also on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. I still call it Twitter, at The Stand WA.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah Tucker, Communications Director for the Washington State Labor Council, and the entire staff of The Stand for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
And thank you, working people, for joining us on another episode of Working to Live in Southwest Washington, produced by the Southwest Washington Central Labor Council. And folks, just like the Washington State Labor Council believes in supporting union businesses like the Vancouver Hilton, the Southwest Washington Central Labor Council believes in supporting union workers throughout our region. That's why they fight so hard to make sure that people have union contracts and that they can organize in a union. And that's why when they hire somebody to host a podcast, they make sure it's recorded under a SAG-AFTRA collective bargaining agreement. Remember, working people, this is your show. We want to know what you want to hear on it. Email us at podcast@swwaclc.org or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Yeah, I still call it Twitter too, Sarah, at SWWACLC. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to the show. And while you're at it, give us 5 stars or go get a taco and a beer at the food truck or whatever your podcast platform of choice gives you to let people know you like what we're doing here. One last thing, folks. Sarah talked a lot about union democracy, about how rank and file union members vote on things like resolutions at the convention or who their unions and other labor organizations like the WSLC endorse for elections. Now, I know you've probably heard some anti-union folks talk about union bosses and how they pick who the unions endorse for election. But I think Sarah gave us a pretty clear example of how that's really not the case. It's the members of the unions who elect the people who are on the committees, who make those recommendations for endorsements, who then put those in front of the members. The WSLC's Committee on Political Education is a really good example of that. It's not just somebody in a back room smoking a cigar, anointing the people who they'll support in an election. They want to make sure that who their organization endorses is the will of the membership. That's another one of those union benefits. Knowing that you can work with your membership to make change in your community, even on the political level. So when you hear somebody talking about union bosses, just remember, it's the members who vote for their leadership who are the real union bosses. We'll see you soon.